Welcome to Mindful English Stories.
How much time do you think you waste every day? An hour? Maybe 2? Watching videos, checking your phone, saying, "I'll do it later." But what if the biggest waste of time isn't doing nothing? What if it's spending your time on things that don't really matter? Today's story begins with one ordinary evening. Nothing special happens at first. But one small message makes someone look at his life in a completely different way. And by the end of this story, you may ask yourself one uncomfortable question. Where is your time really going?
That is a difficult question, because most people don't think they are wasting time. They think they are busy.
Exactly. And that was the problem for Daniel. Daniel was 34 years old, and he was always busy. He worked in an office from 9 to 6. After work, he usually went home, ordered dinner, and sat on the sofa with his phone. He often told himself, "I'll do something useful later." He wanted to learn English. He wanted to exercise. He wanted to read more books. He wanted to travel. He even wanted to learn how to play the guitar. But there was always a reason to wait.
Too tired?
Too tired. Too busy. Too late. Or sometimes, he simply didn't feel like doing it.
So what did he do instead?
Usually, he watched videos on his phone. One Friday night, Daniel came home and put his English book on the table. He had bought it 3 months earlier. He looked at it. "I'll read it tonight," he said. Then his phone buzzed. He picked it up. One video became 5. 5 became 10. When he looked at the clock again, it was almost midnight. Daniel looked at the book. He sighed. Tomorrow. He closed the book. The next morning, his friend Alex sent him a message. "Are you free this weekend?" Daniel smiled. He hadn't seen Alex for several months. He typed, "Sure." When? Alex replied, "Sunday morning. Let's go hiking." Daniel wanted to say yes. But then he looked at his apartment. There was laundry to do. There was work to finish. And he had promised himself he would finally start studying English. So he replied, "Maybe next time." Alex answered with just 3 words. "You always say that." Daniel stopped smiling.
That sentence stayed in his mind. You always say that.
Daniel put his phone down. He wanted to ignore it, but he couldn't. Because Alex was right. Daniel had said, "next time" many times. He had said it about hiking. He had said it about dinner. He had said it about traveling. He had even said it to his mother. "I'll call you later." Later often became tomorrow. Tomorrow became next week. And sometimes, he forgot completely.
But he was busy. That doesn't mean he was wasting his time.
That was what Daniel believed. Until Monday morning. He arrived at work and opened his email. There was a message from Alex. Daniel expected a joke. Instead, he read, "I got a job in Canada. I'm moving next month." Daniel stared at the screen. "Canada?" He immediately called him. "You're moving?" "Yeah," Alex said. "I got the job last week." "That's amazing." "Thanks." "When are you leaving?" 4 weeks. Daniel became quiet. For weeks. Suddenly, for weeks didn't feel like a lot of time. "We need to meet before you go," Daniel said. "Of course." "How about this Saturday?" Alex laughed. "Now you want to meet?" Daniel laughed too. "Okay, Saturday." But on Saturday morning, Daniel woke up late. He looked at his phone. There was a message from Alex. "Sorry, something came up. Can we meet next Saturday?" Daniel stared at the message. Next Saturday. The same words. The same pattern. For years, Daniel had been saying later. Now someone else was saying it to him. And suddenly, he understood how easily time could disappear.
What happened the next Saturday?
They never met. On Friday night, Alex sent him another message. I leave tomorrow morning. Daniel felt a strange pain in his chest. He called immediately. Alex answered from the airport. Hey. You're already there? Yeah. Daniel didn't know what to say. He wanted to say, I'll see you before you leave. But it was too late. So he said, I'm going to miss you. Alex was quiet. I'll miss you too. After the call, Daniel sat alone in his room. Then he noticed something on the table. His English book. Still unopened. He picked it up. 3 months. He had wanted to learn English for 3 months. He had found time to watch hundreds of videos. But he couldn't find 20 minutes for a book. Daniel looked around his apartment. His guitar was still in its box. His running shoes were almost new. There was a travel guide on his shelf for a country he had wanted to visit for years. He had a list of things he wanted to do. But almost everything on the list had one word next to it. Later. That night, Daniel opened his phone and created a new note. At the top, he wrote, What am I waiting for? He thought for a long time. Then he wrote, More money. More time. More energy. More confidence. Better English. He looked at the list. Then he asked himself another question. What if I never feel ready? He didn't have an answer, but something inside him changed. The next morning, Daniel made a small decision. He wasn't going to change his entire life. He was going to stop waiting for the perfect time.
That sounds simple.
It was simple, but it wasn't easy. On Monday, Daniel came home tired. He wanted to study English. His old voice said, Not tonight. Tomorrow. He almost listened. Then he opened the book. He studied for 15 minutes. That's all.
15 minutes?
Yes. He didn't suddenly become fluent. But he had started. The next day, he walked outside for 20 minutes. On Wednesday, he called his mother. They talked for half an hour. On Thursday, he opened his guitar case. He couldn't play a song. He learned 3 chords. On Friday, he messaged an old friend. Want to have coffee next week? The friend replied, Sure. Daniel smiled. His life hadn't changed dramatically, but his days felt different. He was making small choices instead of waiting for big changes. Then, one evening, something unexpected happened. Daniel received an email from a local community center. They were looking for volunteers to help people practice English. Daniel read the message twice. He wanted to join. But immediately, his old fear returned. My English isn't good enough. What if I make mistakes? What if people can't understand me? He almost deleted the email. Then he remembered Alex. He remembered the airport. He remembered the English book. He remembered all the things he had put off. So he clicked register.
Did he regret it?
At first, yes. The first meeting was uncomfortable. A woman asked him a question. Daniel understood most of it, but not everything. He smiled and said, Could you say that again, please? She repeated the question. Daniel answered. His grammar wasn't perfect. His pronunciation wasn't perfect. But she understood him. And that was enough. After the meeting, Daniel walked home. He realized something. For years, He had been waiting to become ready before starting his life. He thought he needed better English before speaking, more money before traveling, more confidence before trying something new, more free time before seeing his friends. But maybe he had it backward. Maybe you don't become ready and then start. Maybe you start and then you become ready.
That is a very different way to think about time.
It changed everything for Daniel. 6 months later, he looked back at that old note on his phone. What am I waiting for? He smiled. He was still busy. He still had lazy days. He still spent too much time on his phone sometimes. He still said later occasionally. But now he noticed it. And when something mattered, he tried to act. One Saturday morning, Daniel took a short trip by himself. It was only a 2-hour train ride. Nothing expensive. Nothing special. But 1 year earlier, he would have said, maybe next summer. This time, he just went. He sat in a small cafe and opened his English book. The same book. The book that had stayed unopened for 3 months. Now he was almost finished. Daniel looked at the pages and smiled. He finally understood something about time. Time doesn't usually disappear in one big moment. It disappears quietly. One evening at a time. One later at a time. One tomorrow at a time. One next time at a time.
And sometimes we don't notice until something happens.
Exactly. Daniel didn't learn that time was valuable because he read a motivational quote. He learned it because he almost missed a moment with someone he cared about. That was what changed him. So now, whenever Daniel wants to postpone something important, he asks himself one question. If I keep doing this for another year, will I be happy with where I am? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes it's no. When the answer is no, he doesn't try to change everything. He takes one small step. A phone call. 10 minutes of English. A short walk. One page of a book. One message. One decision. Because you don't need to change your whole life today. You only need to stop giving your important moments to later.
Maybe that's the real meaning of not wasting time. It's not about being busy every minute.
Right. It's about spending your time on things that matter to you. So think about your own life for a moment. What have you been saying later to? Learning English? Calling someone? Taking a trip? Starting something new? Maybe you don't need more time. Maybe you just need to use the time you already have. Don't wait for a perfect day. There may never be one. Start small. Start slowly. Start before you feel completely ready. Because sometimes, the best time isn't tomorrow. It's the few minutes you have right now.
And maybe that's enough.
Maybe it is. Thank you for listening to Mindful English Stories. If this story made you think about something you've been putting off, don't just think about it. Take one small step today. And if you enjoy meaningful English stories that help you improve your listening while thinking about real life, subscribe to Mindful English Stories. See you in the next story.